Hi and welcome to today's class. It is the 21st of May and this is class number 61. So today we're going to look a little bit deeper at our angles that we started last week, and we're going to look at supplementary angles, angles on a straight line, angles at a point, and vertically opposite angles. So we're going to talk about calculating angles, and this is very important. If we're asked to calculate or find the measure, we are meant to be doing some kind of calculation. If they would like us to measure the angle using a protractor, we will be asked very explicitly to measure. I have no idea what you guys have at home. I know it's probably not ideal to go get math sets, so we will be staying away from math sets as much as I can going through this section. Anything we don't get done, we will pick up it next year when you go in. We do geometry again at the start of second year. So this whole section is about calculating. So there is no need to measure. I just need to be really clear about that. So let's talk about angles on a straight line. So angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So we have something like this. So it doesn't matter how many times you split it into how many angles, as long as they all fit together to make a straight line, they will add to 180. So angle, so look at this beautiful notation here. The size, you see those two straight lines, and we met them before with the length of the line, and I said, well, actually they mean size. So size of a line is the length of the line. Here they're the size of angle, Giles symbols angle, ABC, that's that angle here, plus the size of angle CBD, and that all adds to 180. Now this is a great example of why you couldn't just use B, because there's two angles at B, so you couldn't just call them B. So it'd be like having our two Anns in the class and saying Ann, and nobody knowing which one you're talking about. But when you add these two together, they should add up to 180. So we have a 60 degrees there, so we could work out what's left. So we know that the whole thing adds to 180, and then we can figure out that if I have some number plus 60 equals 180, a bit of subtraction, and that's 180 minus 60, which is 120 degrees. We have these three little dots that make a triangle, and they mean therefore. So if you see me popping that anywhere, it's just a shorthand for therefore. Now, if you don't fully understand that word, it's kind of like, based off what I've just said, I'm going to draw some kind of conclusion. You are in school, therefore you are not sick. Now, maybe that's right, maybe it's wrong, but that's how we would use the word therefore. So there's two angles here, and they add up to 180, and when we have two angles that add to 180, they are known as supplementary angles. So if you ever see that word supplementary, it means that they add together, they supplement each other to make that 180 degrees. So let's try some examples. So if you want to pause the video and give them a go yourself and then correct them, that's perfect. If you want to work along with me, that's also perfect. So first example, 40 degrees plus this angle A, and we'll know that that adds to 180. So 180 minus 40, and that gives me 140 degrees. So how we calculated that was 180 degrees minus 40 degrees equals 140. Example 2. Again, these add to 180, so 180 minus 35, and when we do that, we get 145 degrees. Here we have 180 degrees minus 125 degrees, and that gives me 55 degrees. And our last one is 180 minus 110 degrees, and that gives me 70 degrees. So that's how we will calculate the size of the angle given some information. The next thing we're going to do to calculate angles is use what's known as angles at a point. So this is effectively where we have a full rotation. And when we have a full rotation, it will always add up to 360 degrees. So here's an example. We have 100 degrees, 124, and 42. When I add that together, they add to 266. I know that the whole thing should add to 360. So 360 degrees minus 266 gives me 94. They've used, interestingly, this little x as the unknown, and we've met that in algebra. So basically, before we finished, we said, well, x can be calculated 360 degrees minus 266. Therefore, x is equal to 94 degrees. Let's do some examples. So I have a full rotation here. We have 230 degrees. I also have a right angle here. Don't forget about it. Even if they don't tell us, it's there. So I'm going to add those two together. So when I add 230 and 90 degrees, I get 320. So 360 minus 320 equals 40 degrees. B, again, I have a lovely 90-degree angle here, plus 30 degrees, so I have 120 there. So 360 minus 120 gives me 240. You don't have to lay them out like I'm laying it out. You can lay it out any way you want as long as you're doing the same sum. So then we have this one here. It's 90 degrees plus 65, that's 155. So that gives us an answer of 205 degrees. And here we have again 90 degrees plus 195, that's 285. So 360 minus 285, that's 75 degrees. So the last piece we're going to look at today, it's known vertically opposite angles. So these are the easiest to do calculations with because vertically opposite angles are equal. So there's no need for a calculation. When two lines intersect, so that means where they meet, four angles are formed. Two pairs of vertically opposite angles. So here we go. Here we have angle A is equal to angle B. So this only exists when we have two straight lines, so where we have an X. Okay, so these are not angles at a point. These are special. They're called vertically opposite angles. Also, this angle here, I'm going to change my color because blue is too close to what we have. We'll do green. This angle here is the same size as this angle here. So let's do some examples. What is the size of A? In this example, it's 45 degrees. Here, B, vertically opposite, it's 120 degrees. Now, M here, this is 145 degrees. That's vertically opposite. Now, we also need to work out the size of N. And how we're going to do that is we're going to use the straight line. And this is our straight line here. Remember, straight lines add up to 180. I know that this piece is 145, so I have 180 degrees minus 145 degrees, and that equals 35 degrees, which gives us N. So sometimes students find that bit a little bit challenging, but remember that's not vertically opposite, that's looking at angles on a straight line. So here again, question 4, P is equal to 115 degrees because vertically opposite angles are equal. I'm going to work on my straight line. I'm going to use, it doesn't matter which one you use, you'll get exactly the same answer. Here's Q, here's 115 degrees. So 180 degrees minus 115 degrees, that gives me 65 degrees, which is Q.